Next was the 70s. This was the nail in the coffin, and that started with blaxploitation. Blaxploitation was the growth of the black culture creation. We went from heroin to cocaine, prostitution, pimp culture, consumerism, cars, clothes, and hoes. Okay, flash, gaudiness. Alright, this became part of the black culture, the black man and woman. The token black was created through blaxploitation.
I was once a young militant, okay? A young militant with a big old natural in ROTC. When I saw the Superfly album poster, and I heard the music. I got my natural fried, turned it into a perm, bought me a maxi coat, and shortly after that, I got me some baking soda, and I started sniffing it because I thought that was a cool thing to do. That was one album, one young man. I'm not telling you something that somebody told me. I'm telling you what happened to me. Okay? So if you have 25 years of thug, fuck, gangster, and nobody says it ain't cool, and we justify it, we turn the other way because it makes money for somebody. But in the meantime, there is a byproduct which is also making a lot of money, and that's the prison industrial complex.
Downtown LA at that time, that whole Broadway area with all the old theaters and everything, that was like a black Hollywood. It was like a black Westwood, all right? It was like all those big theaters up and down the street. Every film was a blaxploitation film. Every film was a black film. And they had, just like in Hollywood Boulevard, they didn't have like the marquee with the name with the letters. No, they had a big, the big thing there with Hitman with a picture of, Bertie Casey on it, and, the Mac, and, picture of Max Julian on the marquee. I mean, it was like the old days.
It just meant that they found a way to tap into a black audience, and we exploit the dollars that they have by making movies for them, by them, that are about them. It didn't mean that they were exploiting our sensibilities or anything else. It was just trying to make a dollar.
My son Tupac was greatly influenced by the films of the 70s. He actually, by the time he died, had amassed a collection of all of those films. He watched them as a kid, and he watched them over and over again. What he watched as a kid was these films and Bruce Lee's films and all of the martial arts films, and that was his basic culture.
Also, the sexual movement was raging through the streets. Shorts were getting, skirts were getting shorter. Men's pants were getting tighter. People were throwing underwear and bra out the window, type of thing. We had Woodstock, You Love Your Body, Naked, Peace, and Love. So all of that was about who we were too. And you could see that in the film.
This was the shift from the self-sacrificing we generation of the civil rights movement and its aftermath, and the me consumer generation that was starting to rise. Energy that up until about 72, 73 was very militant starts to get displaced into sartorial display, fashion, coiffure. The afro was out. Guys that were wearing berets and black leather jackets suddenly started showing up with big gold chains with Coke spoons on them and crushed velvet with big floppy hats.
And isn't it interesting that the writers, well, some of the main writers, especially in the beginning, the most famous of the writers of these blaxploitation films were Ashkenazis, Cohen, for instance. We understand this was a design. This is culture creation. This is social engineering done through Hollywood. We can look at the works of Aldous Huxley and Plato himself, who both spoke about the importance of theater, the arts, and music, and how any type of mind control could be implemented through these concepts. Anything you would want a group to believe, or any way you would want a group to act, you can get them to believe or act any way through the arts, through music. And this is what they did with blaxploitation. and also implemented into soul music and funk music. Blacks were a lot different 30 years prior, but once these movements hit, the culture was shaped, and it became solidified and spread across the nation and the world. Soul, funk, disco era, all these things destroyed the development of the black culture. Sports stars blew up, basketball, football. Pipe dreams comes out of all of these things. Distractions, socially stagnant. And these things shaped a generation. Blaxploitation and the works of the 70s shaped a generation. And as we stated earlier, arresting development, culture, identity creation. This is all about the identity here. This is how the black culture was created, through blaxploitation. All right, which originated in blackface. We can look at blackface of way back. That was the start, but it really came into fruition during blaxploitation with the use of Hollywood and screens. And it goes further to and it just continued down to Spike Lee and John Singleton with Boys in the Hood, and the famous movie Colors, which started the gang rise and hip-hop movement that started decay of black culture through groups like NWA. Hollywood music, television created the black culture and culture in general, but we have to understand that black culture was used to bring in a whole lot of very distasteful and destructive ideals. And it was done through entertainment, as it always is. So where are these celebs? Where's Beyonce? Where's Chris Brown? Where's Drake? Kanye West, who's from Chicago? Cornel West? Well, where are all of these big black stars that are supposed to care about their communities? Seems like they care more about this government movement, Black Lives Matter, than they actually do about the black communities. All right. So from the 70s, we go right into the 80s, and what happened in the 80s. So we had the drug movements, the free love of the 60s, the blaxploitation of the 70s, and that led us right into the 80s crack era. This completely deconstructed the black population. These drugs were funneled into all urban areas and projects, and really took a toll on the group. Peaking in the mid-80s, this movement was weaponized, and it was in all urban areas. Right? Weaponized drugs, brought in, of course, through the CIA, FBI,